What we're going to look at now is point-to-point wiring. We're staying in our schematic wiring project because that's the one we're using for all our wiring drawings at the moment. And I've got a new drawing open. It's JIC point-to-point wiring 1. Remember, always get into a good CAD practice of applying your drawing to your project. So what we do here, we go to the project, click on it, right-click, add active drawing to project. Apply the project default values. Always do this because it's so easy to forget to do it. It really is. And then what we do there, we right-click on the drawing, go to the properties, drawing properties, give it a sheet number, which in this case will be 002, and then we OK it. It's just the next sequential sheet number. It's so easy to not do that. And as we work through this course, you'll see that I tell you to do that every time. One, from a learning perspective, repetition aids retention, so you remember to do it. But secondly, it reminds you to do it as well. There's nothing worse than trying to find a drawing that's linked to a project that isn't in the project drawing list. It's hard to find if you've got 200 drawings to go through. So let's have a look at our point-to-point wiring. The next thing we're going to look at is connecting some connector blocks here. So you can see I've got two connector blocks, very basic ones. Each have got 4 connectors on them. So what we're going to do now is we're going to draw wires from one connector to the other. Very, very easy to do. We don't need rungs or ladders for this. So I go wire, and I just want a wire like this, and I can hover, and you'll notice I'm snapping because the grid and the snap are on. Doesn't matter, no problem. As soon as I get a nearest point, I click, and my wire comes out. Now the nice thing is, if I'm not going directly vertically, the wire automatically cranks by 90 degrees. So I'm going to come down here, like this. When I get to point 1, look at that. As soon as I hover over that connector, it cranks neatly, exactly halfway between the two connectors, and I click on the connector, and it's done it for me. Now the nice thing about that is that wire is in place from connector 1 to connector 1. I'm just going to hit enter there to confirm that. One thing I haven't done is I haven't gone to the Home tab on the ribbon and checked what layer I'm on. So if I check on this wire now, you'll see it's on the layer wires, which is excellent. That's great. It's put it on the right layer, but I just need to change the color of that layer. So I'm just going to hop in here, and it just stands out a bit more on the drawing if I've got red wires instead of white ones, as you can see. So we've done our first bit of point-to-point wiring. Now let's have a look at doing another bit of point-to-point wiring. I go back to the schematic tab on the ribbon. I click on wire. I'm going to select point 2 this time. As soon as I get there, it picks up on that point straight away. Now I'm going to go down to point 2 here, and as soon as I find that connector, again it cranks neatly for me, and I click again, and it adds that wire. Notice when I zoom in, it does the hoop for me, where the wire's jumping over the first wire that we drew. Now if I want to do 3 to 3, again, nearest snap, always have your object snaps on. This is why they're there. I'm coming down here to point number 3, hover there and it will highlight, click again. This time I get 2 hoops because I'm jumping the 2 previous wires. Now if I do 4 to 4, what's going to happen, do you think, with the hoops? Well, let's have a look and see. As I come down here, just drag it through, get to 4 there, it will highlight, click, and this time I get 4 hoops in place. So I press enter to confirm the wires. Now this does look somewhat complicated. I'm purely showing you how to do point-to-point wiring. If I wanted to move one of these connectors, or move one of the wiring points from one connector to another, I should say, I can use an excellent command called scoot. So I'm going to zoom in here on 4 and 3. Scoot is up here in the Edit Components panel on the Schematic tab on the ribbon. It's this icon here with the little cross. If I click there, though, there's other commands. We're just going to go to Scoot, and I can scoot any component or wire. So if I click on point number 4 there, can you see it's zoomed right out? Now I don't want to zoom right out. I can still zoom in again. It's no problem, but it's an auto setting. Now I want to move that to point 3, or I could just move it to there. If I scoot that along, can you see it's scooted connector 4 along the connector block? I'll just press enter to confirm that. If I just pan and zoom now, not only has it scooted number 4 along, but any hoops that need adjusting, it's done that as well. Now let's do that again with number 4. And what we'll do, we'll go to scoot again, and we'll click on 4 again. And this time I want to move 4 between 2 and 1. to there, let's say. As soon as I do that, watch the wires. If I press enter now, you'll notice I've lost a wire because I've scooted across. So what I need to do there is do a wire and go from a known point. So specify the wire start. Now I can't do that. Why? Because of snap and grid being on. So I need to go down to snap and grid. And now I can just touch from there, go to there, and it adds a wire. Press enter to finish. It's now connected again. Be careful of that. Sometimes when you use scoot, you can lose a wire. These are only lines, remember, representing wires. So just be careful with that when you're using the scoot command. So there's your point-to-point wiring, just between two basic connectors. And as you can see, as soon as you draw that wire, AutoCAD Electrical auto-places it and puts the hoops in, so that when your wiring is crossing, each wire is easily distinguishable.